Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We especially want to thank our witnesses, panel number one, and somewhere out in the audience, panel number two. Mr. Lowry just lost his ID card there. Somebody just go around and pick it up, please, and put it where it belongs. That way we'll know who you are, and you will too. Senator Bill Roth, whom I succeeded here in the United States Senate, used to say, many years ago, he would say, and his advice was, wear a big button when you're campaigning so that you'll remember your name and so will other people too. So we want to make sure people remember your name. Over the past several months, this committee has engaged in an investigation into the potential implications of virtual currencies. During the course of this inquiry, we've examined the issues and potential risks and threats that virtual currencies pose, as well as some of the potential promise that some believe they can bring. In addition, we've explored with several departments and agencies throughout our federal government how they are approaching virtual currencies as an emerging technology. This has included looking at how they are coordinating together to develop a whole of government approach that is consistent and informed. Virtual currencies, perhaps most notably Bitcoin, have captured the imagination of some, struck fear among others, and confused the heck out of the rest of us, including me. Indeed, based on conversations that my staff and I have had with dozens, maybe more, dozens of individuals, both inside and outside of government, it is clear that the knowledge and expectation gaps are wide. Fundamental questions remain about what a virtual currency actually is, how it should be treated, and what the future holds. Virtual currency can best be described as digital cash. It is generated by computers, lives on the internet, and can be used to purchase real and digital goods across the world. Some proponents believe that digital currencies can prove valuable to those in developing countries without access to stable financial systems. Others believe it could prove to be the next generation payment system for retailers, both online and in the real world. At the same time, however, virtual currencies can be an effective tool for those looking to launder money, for those looking to traffic illegal drugs, for those looking to exploit children around the world, and the list goes on. While virtual currencies have seen increased attention from regulators, from law enforcement, from investors and entrepreneurs in recent months, there's still many unanswered questions and unresolved issues. This isn't the first time that advances in technology have posed challenging questions, challenging issues for policymakers and for society as a whole. As we know, technology is dynamic and changes quickly. Concepts like email and even the internet itself were once alien and difficult to understand and navigate. Now most of us can read and respond to email on a device we keep in a purse or coat pocket and search the web on multiple platforms. I like to use the example, when I first showed up for duty here in the U.S. Senate in 2001, we received for every email that came in to us from constituents in Delaware and across the country, for every email we received probably 10 to 15 letters. I asked my staff a couple of months ago to tell me if that ratio had changed. And now for every 12 or 13 emails we get one letter. And that's probably a pretty good metaphor for the situation. I'll be the first to admit that, like most Americans, I am no technical expert in virtual currencies. I think all of you are gathered in this room who are, and we'll see. But hopefully some of our panelists are those experts, and we'll learn a lot from you today. What I do know is that a number of smart people, both inside and outside of government, view this as a major emerging issue that is deserving of our attention, and that includes this committee's attention. The ability to send and receive money over the internet, nearly anonymously, without a third party, has a lot of wide-ranging implications. Our government needs to pay attention to this technology and to understand and, where appropriate, address these implications. This was made all the more clear last month when federal law enforcement took down and seized an online marketplace called the Silk Road, on which many illegal products and services were bought and sold via Bitcoin. The most popular products for sale were illegal drugs, foreign documents such as IDs and passports. Other services were also for sale, including hacking services. We're told that approximately $1.2 billion in transactions were made through the Silk Road. The site lived on what is often called the dark web, also known as the deep web. The dark web consists of web pages and data that are only available via special software that keeps users anonymous. Many sites and data on the dark web have been deliberately built to be untraceable in order to protect the anonymity of the user. And Silk Road was one of those sites. My understanding is that individuals could navigate to Silk Road anonymously and use Bitcoin, which can be sent to someone nearly anonymously to make purchases. The anonymity of the marketplace and near anonymity of the currency made it nearly impossible for law enforcement to track, and therefore made it an attractive place for criminal activity. In fact, in the course of our investigation, the Department of Homeland Security informed us that the suspects who allegedly sent ricin to President Obama in April of this year was a vendor on Silk Road. Law enforcement, including the FBI, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and the Secret Service, should be applauded for their work in taking down a major international criminal enterprise. But while Silk Road was perhaps the most well-known, if not the only marketplace where illicit goods are bought and sold through Bitcoin transactions, today a number of similar enterprises that accept Bitcoins are still in business, selling weapons, child pornography, and even murder for hire services. While today I suspect we'll talk a lot about the well-known virtual currency Bitcoin, there are numerous other virtual currencies operating on the internet today, each with its own set of specific features. That said, whether it's Bitcoin or any of the other virtual currencies, the federal government and society as a whole need to come together to figure out how to effectively deal with it. Whether or not digital currencies prove to be a boom or a bust, I think it's clear that some folks just want a chance to try and play by the rules. And that's difficult to do if the rules or proper authorities aren't clear or if the future is uncertain. It's also difficult if a large number of bad apples are allowed to spoil the bunch. With that, normally I would turn to my right and I would say, Dr. Coburn, you're recognized for whatever comments you would like to offer. I believe he is traveling back from Oklahoma. I hope he'll be able to join us at some point during this hearing. Others of our colleagues will too. We start voting at 5:30. And what usually happens on Monday afternoons is people are coming in, senators are coming in from all over the country, and they will drift in and out of hearings like this one. And my hope is that before we're done, a number of them will be able to join us. I want to take now just a moment, if I can, to welcome and introduce, just very briefly, our first panel of distinguished witnesses. Our first panel is Jennifer, on our first panel, our first witness, in fact, the leadoff hitter, is Jennifer Shasky-Calvary, Director of the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, known as FinCEN, a bureau of the Treasury Department. As Director of FinCEN, Ms. Shasky-Calvary, do you go by both names? Is it?
Typically just Shasky.
Okay, all right. As Director of FinCEN, Ms. Shasky oversees the protection of U.S. financial systems from money laundering and other forms of illicit financial activity. Prior to joining Treasury, Director Shasky-Calvary, also known as Director Shasky, serves as the Chief of Asset Forfeiture and Money Laundering Section at the Department of Justice. Our second witness has a name I've never heard before, and her first name is Mythili, right? Mythili? It sort of rhymes with mightily, right? Mythili Raman. I have that right? Good. Has your name ever been mispronounced?
Many times.
Today? Today?
Not today.
Oh, good. We'll try to keep it that way. Ms. Raman is Acting Assistant Attorney General for the Department of Justice Criminal Division. As head of the Criminal Division, Ms. Raman oversees nearly 600 attorneys who prosecute federal crime cases across our country. Prior to joining the Criminal Division, Ms. Raman served for nearly a decade as an Assistant U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, our neighbor. Our final witness on this panel is Edward Lowry. Mr. Lowry is a special agent in charge of the Criminal Investigation Division at the Secret Service. Mr. Lowry began his career with the Secret Service in 1992 and has been in his current position since February of 2012. In this position, Mr. Lowry directs and coordinates all investigative activities of the agency and the daily operation of the Secret Service investigative offices located throughout the world. Previously, Mr. Lowry established and ran the Secret Service's Cyber Protective Initiative and coordinated operations of the Cyber Investigations Branch and the Cyber Intelligence Section. Again, we want to thank all of you for your service. We thank you for your preparation for today, for your testimony, and for your willingness to respond to the questions that will be asked to you here, and some that will be asked in writing subsequent to this hearing.